This past week, we've been getting a lot of news for the game Den of Wolves, the next game from 10 Chambers, a company made by former Payday devs and original creators like Ulf Anderson and Simon Viklund. If those names sound familiar, you might know them better as Wolf and Bane, respectively. Not to mention Simon's killer soundtracks in Payday 1 and 2. Now you might be wondering what is Den of Wolves and why you should be excited for it. In short, it's a sci-fi heisting game, but from what we've seen over the past week, it's a bit more than just that. It doesn't seem like it's just Payday in a sci-fi setting. It seems like it's really leaning into the cyberpunk aspect. Like, one of the things we saw was you going into someone else's mind to steal information. Kind of reminds me of what the original ending for Payday 2 was gonna be. The gameplay from what we've seen so far looks really solid. It's very Payday-esque, and as it should. Payday is as much these people's baby as it is the current people who are working at Starbreeze. As for some of the features we've seen so far in the gameplay department, we just mostly got to see kind of the gunplay as well as some of the equipments, as well as just how one of the heists seems to go. But there's so much more that we haven't been able to see yet that we've only heard them talk about. Like how a feature from Payday 2, Preplanning, is going to be in this game.
For example, you spawn in front of a bank, and one player says, okay, let's go through the front door, while another says, no, let's go through the back. Meanwhile, a third player is already climbing up to the roof saying, I'm going in from up here. There's so many ways to approach it, but you have to decide in real time how to execute the heist. Then, if someone drops into the game mid-mission, they ask, so what's the plan? And now you have to explain everything because there's so many different ways in. It's like Swiss cheese. The options are nice, but you don't want to spend your Friday evening convincing people to follow your plan. With Den of Wolves, we're moving that decision-making into the loadout phase. The planning happens before the mission starts, just like it would in real life. That includes choosing the entry point, deciding what tools and resources to bring, and setting up the escape plan. You're ticking boxes, selecting a blueprint of the location, and finalizing your strategy before even launching the mission.
So this basically confirms that pre-planning from Payday 2 will be in this game, and from what I've been able to find out is it seems like it's going to have a lot more depth to it. In Payday 2, it was kind of like a fancy screen for choosing what assets you want to use and where to place certain things. As simple as it was, it actually added a lot of flavor. Not every heist in Payday 2 allowed for multiple routes, but those that did, well, let's be real. We ended up doing the same thing over and over again. How many times did you actually use thermite to get into the vault in Big Bank? Did you really use anything other than the bus escape on a regular basis? No, you really didn't. It was just a nice thing to try out other options just to see why you keep going with the same route. It was fun to try them out occasionally, just for shits and giggles. From what it sounds like, it seems like Den of Wolves is gonna have its pre-planning be very similar to GTA5's. What I mean by that is apparently each one of these heists are going to have several steps that you have to do before you can do the main heist. Think of like in Payday 2, canonically you do Murky Station first in order to get the EMP to then use in the Boiling Point heist. But this time, instead of going forward with whatever the developers have planned for you, you get to actually choose how you want to approach it. So for instance, let's say you want to use a drill. Well, then you have to go and get that drill, and then you get to actually go and use it in the heist. Or if you wanted to use thermite, you'd have to go and do a mission to get the thermite to then use during the heist. And each one would supposedly be something different. Now, I'm not quite sure if that's exactly the case. I haven't been told this directly, and I haven't played it myself, so I can't confirm. But this is what I've been able to find in my research. Something else I've found, which is something you can actually see in this quote, is that they have it where whichever route you take is the one that you're locked to. Kind of like in GTA5, whichever route you choose to take is the one that you have to go forward with. Personally, I think that's a really great idea. I think it adds a lot of depth to each heist. The only problem is what do you do when there's a bunch of randoms that join you? Because we all like Payday, but the problem does become, let's be honest here, when randoms join and throw a crowbar in your plan. I don't mean in the literal sense like in the Meltdown heist. For that, they even thought of a feature that's supposed to help prevent randoms from botching the heist for you.
But we are making it, consciously making design decisions in order to make it easier to get along with other people. So you will be able to have randoms join your game and they will not rob you of the joy and the experience of completing objectives and making progress. You know, you could have otherwise, if you're like a beginner player or an intermediate player, you can have like skilled players joining your game and sort of making decisions for you and running ahead and completing the objectives and robbing you of the experience, you wouldn't get that because their objective would be to protect you, not complete the heist. So they can't do that. You're the one completing the heist.
What Simon is talking about here is something that I think that even Payday could benefit from. This guns for hire mechanic seems like something that could be very useful in objective-based games. Now, I'm assuming this is going to be an option, not like the box standard. What I mean by that is I think you can choose whether to have this be the option for randoms that join you or just let them play the game like normal. I think having randoms just be guns for hire to protect you while you execute the heist is a great idea. But what I am concerned about is what happens if you go into custody, or whatever the game's equivalent of going into custody is. Do they continue on without you? Like, are they given the ability to do the objectives? Do they just sit there and wait for you to get back? Or does the heist just reset? If you think this sounds like a terrible, terrible idea, well then let me introduce to you something that my friends and I have been doing in Payday 3. This is something we came up with when after one too many times of me deciding to start a heist with the wrong build. When we were going loud on Overkill and Payday 3, I forgot to switch off of my stealth build. So while I had skills that are great for lockpicking and doing all those other stuff, I wasn't great in combat, and as a result, my friends had to protect me. This birthed a game mode that we call Protect the President, where one player has all the useful skills for completing objectives and trading hostages, while the other 3 players have to protect them and stay by their side. And if the player who's doing the objectives go into custody, well then we have to restart the heist. It's actually kind of fun to do. I recommend trying it out. Maybe I'll make a video showing the rules that we came up with. Because this isn't the video where I talk about that. We're here to talk about Den of Wolves, not Payday. Now, while I like this guns for hire mechanic, a lot of people seem to be having some kind of an issue with it. And it's not hard to see why. I mean, people don't want to just play as NPCs, because that's basically what you're doing. You're just being the bot. All you do is shoot and maybe carry some loot. That's it. But is that so bad? I mean, think of it this way. How many times have you just joined a match and then not realized that someone's taking care of the objectives and you're just shooting and having fun? Maybe sometimes you don't want to do the objectives. Maybe you just want to just shoot. If this is something that's a filter when looking for a match, I mean, I can see myself using it. Hey, you know what? I don't want to think for a little while. I just want to just shoot things. Then you can maybe check a box and be a gun for hire. If I want to do the objectives, I'm free to, well, create my own heist. I want to know what you guys think of these two things, the pre-planning and the guns for hire. I'm more interested to know what your guys' thoughts on the guns for hire thing is. I think it's a great mechanic, so to not have it where randoms join your game, mess up your heist, and then you have to restart while they just ditch you. Kind of like some kind of PvE griefing. Do you think this guns for hire thing is a great idea? Do you see yourself using it or enjoying being a gun for hire? Or are you somebody that has to be able to do objectives in order to enjoy the game? Now, there isn't all good news here. Something that I did hear Simon go over that I'm a bit concerned about is how they're building the game with the expectation that you're going to be playing with other people.
Will there bots in this video game at the beginning? Because, you know, sometimes do you want to play alone?
Yeah, if you want to play alone, you're better off playing a single player game. Because we're making a co-op game, so it is intended, you know, to be played with other people.
Now, while they are building this game to be a cooperative experience, I hope that doesn't mean they're going to not have a solo option. Because we saw how well that worked out for Payday 3, and spoilers if you don't know, it's not going very well for that game. It's in 10 Chambers' best interest to offer not only a solo option, but also an offline one. Nobody likes being forced to always be online, even though in a day and age where we're all always online, sometimes we're on an airplane and I want to play this game on my Steam Deck or something. Well, that's all I have to say for now. If you want to help out the channel, consider becoming a channel member. Or if you're looking for a new pair of glasses, check out my Zenny link and use the code CABOOSE10 on checkout for a 10% discount. Both are great ways to be helping out the channel, and I'll be using those funds to kind of improve the video development process I have here. Whether that be getting a better computer or having a better webcam to use for videos, I want to take the channel into consideration first. Also, I want to personally thank Vice for reading for Simon Vicklin for me. If you haven't heard of him before, you should definitely check out his YouTube and Twitch. His channels go by Vice M4H. He makes a lot of content similar to me and talks about similar games. So if you like my content, then you're gonna love his. Just do me a favor favor and let them know that I sent you. You can also find me on my Twitch, Twitter, and Blue Sky. But if you want to talk to me personally, my Discord is open to everybody. Until next time, remember to stay hydrated, and as always, I love you! Bye-bye.